Let's take a quick look at Revit Architecture 2010 and the Wall Framing Extension, which was just released on October 21st of 2009. So what I'm going to do is I've got a brand new project here. So let's just create a project. Let's create a quick little building. This is all fine, and let me just go ahead and create a shape here. We're going to imagine that this is a wood building that we're wanting to frame. And let me go in. Some people say, I guess in Europe and so forth, they say timber. Same thing. It's wood, dimensional lumber, and that kind of thing. I don't want to do that. Sorry, having a little clicking problem here. There we go. Let's get a door. Let's get a single flush. I guess I already had that one loaded. I'm just trying to find something that's a little more interesting than the door that's in the there we go. We'll use that one. Already loaded. Okay, so put in a couple of doors here. Put in a couple of windows. This is just so we have some openings to look at. This is not going to be the most gorgeous building you've ever seen, but you'll get the point. Quick little building. Now, within the new app, if you've downloaded and installed the subscription pack that has the wall framing extension in it, you'll have it here in your external tools under extension, Revit extensions for Revit Architecture. But in order to use it, you've got to select some walls, and then you'll see the thing will highlight. This is the dialog. You can also go here to get to it. So in this dialog are all of the different parts, all the extensions that come in the subscription pack. And the one we're interested in is the wood framing walls. So I'm going to double click there. I'm going to open that up. And what you're going to see right away is that it's already been framed. Now I'm going to right click and drag to move it around. So pretty neat that you've already got your framing kind of set up. Now it's not perfect yet because we haven't defined the properties of the framing. So we're going to go through and do that now. But one thing that I like to do is just grab whatever and hit OK and have it frame it just without any options. And what that's going to do is it's going to load a family into your project that the wood framing extension can use. It's a beam. And you'll notice here that when we go in and look here, oh, and you'll get this error if you haven't made your walls bearing. So we're going to make them all bearing. There we go. If they're non-bearing walls, it really can't have a structural member in it. Okay, so there's our family there. Now, what I do is I just select that thing, select them all. You can see what it is. It's a rectangular timber beam, and I'm just going to delete them all. So they're gone again. But down here in my family browser, we'll see them in. Oh, I'm sorry. It's under structural framing there, and we can rename this, and I'm going to call it 2x4 stud. And then I'm going to duplicate it, and you'll see why in a minute. Because I want to have a 2x4 sill. And let me rename this one 2x4 stud. So now we've got two versions of this that I can use for horizontal and vertical studs. And that's so that later on you'll see when I do my scheduling, I'll have it there. Okay, so I'll be able to differentiate. So we go back out. Let's get everything here, and then now this time I'm going to go in and use rules to generate the framing. I've got to make this fit for you guys. Oh, it may not fit. Okay, so it should work anyway. Now, right off the top here, I want to use active project families because I've got these families defined over here, and I want to use those for my stud. That's why I created those families. The first time I did it, it just used kind of some generics, but this time I'm going to use families. And I'm going to go in and say studs. Okay, so current wall, that's this wall. You can select things in here just by clicking on them. We want to apply this to all the walls in the project, and then this is a panel dimension. So if you want to have panels, meaning 8 feet with 4 studs, you can do that, or 5 studs. this is the length of the panel, and this is the number of studs in that panel. I'm not going to use panels. I'm just going to do it 1'4", and then I'm going to say there's no intermediate studs, which means that there's nothing in between the studs. You have to. It's a little finicky on your entry, and you'll notice that it turns red if you've got an invalid, and that means it's not going to take it. So if you have a red one, it means your value has not been accepted. I hit escape. So okay, let's try this again. I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to say studs, apply to all walls. We want no studs in between, and we want a 16-inch panel dimension, which is the same as saying we want every 16 inches on center. You can do cripple studs over openings. You can do blocking if you want to have a blocking element in there. We'll put the blocking at, let's say, 48 inches. So you see there's some blocking. We don't want two of them, we just want one, so I'm going to make it 6 feet. There we go. There's our blocking all the way around. Okay, so that looks good. And then we need to do corners, top plates, and bottom plates. So I want a double top plate, and I want it, if we zoom in and look at this, you'll notice that as we go in, let me get in tight here. My mouse doesn't seem to want to zoom. That's odd, it's only zooming in that far. Well, it's hard to see, but if you look here, if I click the rotated, you see that going away? That's because if you don't rotate it, it's putting that stud in vertically like a header. So you want to make sure you rotate it. And then we'll do this one too. And on top plate, bottom plate, you have to go around and do them all. So there's no apply to all walls. That's something we've talked about putting into a future release. So hopefully one day we'll have a way for you to say, make this the top plate for all walls. But for now, you just have to do this. It's not too bad. And you can save this so that you don't have to do it again next time. I'll show you that in a minute. And then bottom plate, same thing. We want it rotated so that it's flat. Am I getting that? Can't really tell because it's over there. Let's use this one. Rotate. Yep. There we go. Rotate. It can be kind of hard to tell sometimes what you're looking at. So just use your mouse to zoom you to a place where you can see what you're doing. It's right click to rotate. Which at first feels a little odd, but after a while, I kind of want Revit to work that way. I kind of like it. Okay, so there's bottom plate and top plate. And then we want to, if you have T connections, I don't have any, but if you had a T connection, you pick the main wall, and then you'll see a wall that it T's into down here. And then you click that T wall, and it joins the two, and then you can tell how you want that connected. We don't have any. Okay, and then we have openings. We have kings, headers, and sills. Our kings can be, that wall doesn't have any. You have to pick the opening to get this to activate, not the wall, so you pick the opening. So for that one, we're going to do, I want to do those, and I'm going to do that on all the windows. Again, this is an area where we know people want to have multi-selectability or the ability to do apply to all. So that's something we're working on. Let me say it that way. It's not too bad. And again, you can save this so that if you ever have to reframe the building, any of your adjustments that you've made in here will stay. Not really sure what I'm getting there. Let me rotate that and make sure. No, that's right. Okay, and then doors. We'll do doubles on the doors too. Oh, we already got that one. Really doesn't matter whether it's a window or a door from the point of view of the framing it, or from the point of view of selecting it, because the tool will pick up the right option no matter what you pick on an opening. Okay, and then the headers. And headers, it's probably best to use, unless you know exactly how you want to header the thing out, you have the ability to use two different profiles. You can use, a vertical and a horizontal member, and you can certainly frame it up that way. But if you look there, you see that you got to make sure that you rotate it in right. I think what's probably best for the purposes of what we're doing is just to go to a single, even though that's not totally accurate. It is more like it's going to be a little easier for you to do your scheduling and things off of. You could go crazy and build a little family for that too, though, I guess. And I haven't really used the families that I created earlier, so I should probably show you how that's going to work too. There we go. Just going around the building here and rotating them all. And then we're going to do the same thing with the sill. You might say, wow, this takes a long time. It takes less time than framing. There's probably not too many framers out on the job site who can do it this quick. And you're going to be able to get as pretty well as accurate as they do, and get a pretty good set of drawings if you want, set of framing drawings, or you would be able to just get a takeoff, kind of a board foot length kind of calculation if you wanted that. Okay, so there, went all the way around, got the openings. Let's see if there's anything. Oh, corners. I didn't show corners, but left stud and right stud are how you figure out what your corners are. And for each wall, you can decide how you want that corner to work. Some of these are probably getting cut off, but there's all kinds of different corner conditions you can use. I'm not going to worry about it, but if you want to put in 2 stud, 3 stud corners, you can do all that. Okay, when I hit OK, we will have a framed wall. If we can get the browser out of the way there. There's our framed wall. Now, if I go into 3D mode here, you'll see that it's all framed up, and our wall is actually showing through. So let me turn the walls off real quick so that you can actually just see the frame. Okay, and if you want to edit your families to be more, if you want to put a color to them or change the line width and all that, you can do that. Let's get rid of doors and windows too, just so we can see the framed structure. There we go. Now I didn't put in, it looks like we're missing our cripples up above, so we need to go back in and define those. And I think other than that, it looks pretty good as a starting point. So I'm just going to delete everything and bring back our walls so we can just have something to see. And we're going to pick all of our walls, and we're going to go back in and reframe. And what you'll notice is that all the framing is already done according to our directions. So just because we deleted all those studs, it doesn't matter. You just blow them away and start over. And then you can mess around with whatever whatever you want to have. Now, what was I going to do? I was going to apply cripple studs. That's right. So for each wall, I can say how many studs go over the opening and beneath the opening, or I can just let the program figure it out. And I'm gonna say we want 2 and 2. Okay, and then I'm going to do that on all of these. Anything that has an opening in it. Again, you could just let Revit figure it out, but or you could just say I always want to have 2. Sometimes you have a situation where you're saying we always want to have a certain number of cripples. Okay, there we go. So that looks better. And what else do I need to do? I think that's it. Okay, so let's go back to geometry here. Oh, another thing is we wanted to use our families. So I'm going to switch this over to Revit Active Families. And so now you'll see that I can go in here and I can set which family I want to use for all these different things that we're talking about. So that way for example, for our sills, our top plate, I can go in here and I can say use the sill family. And same for this one. Again, you can't do this all at once, which would be great, but we'll get there. And then the same thing for the bottom plate. And this way, what I'm doing is I'm gonna be able to break it down in my schedule and see how much I need for each type. Okay, there we go. Let's reframe that sucker. Looks better. Got our cripples in there. Let's turn our walls off so we get rid of that. Okay, there we are. There's our framed wall. Now, go back in here again. Now that I have it the way I want it, I'm going to save it. And essentially what I'm doing is I am just going to save these rules so that later on, if I ever need to delete them again and save them between sessions, I have them. So I'm just going to go in and open that up and say File, Save. You can say Save As, and give it a name, Demo Framing. Put all these in a folder or something, or put them somewhere where you'll have access to them later on. That way, if you need to and you have to blow away the framing and recreate it, you can just load in your rule set and it'll reapply. Okay, let's look at just real quick scheduling and then we'll finish up. So, by the way, these are full-fledged Revit family members, so they show up in all your views. You can control them with view settings. So if I wanted to go in and take out walls out of here and windows, and I wanted to put in structural systems there, so I have a nice little framing diagram there, framing elevation, and of course you're seeing some things behind through the gaps, so you'd have to set your clip plane and stuff so that you don't see beyond. But I think you get the idea that you can basically create a pretty nice set of framing diagrams off of your layout. Let's do a schedule. Do a material schedule. We're going to use structural columns. Is that what it was under? I can never remember where it puts them. Structural framing. Oops, and then I hit the wrong one. Material. I'm going to do a material takeoff instead of a regular schedule. Structural framing. I'm just going to add, let's say, assembly code and count and cut length and description. And these are some internal parameters. You can change the parameters of the families so that you, if you want to change some of the details and stuff about the material, you can do that. I'll put that in. You have to have at least one material. And type, structural usage. That's fine. That'll start us off. So that's our entire count. And you can see we have our sills and our studs in there. So if I wanted to organize that, I could say sort by type and put a header in and put in a footer and put in the count and totals. And we'll do grand totals. And I have to do, let's see, I've got to make length be or cut length. I can't, for some reason I can't calculate total. I'm not really sure why. Let's just see what we get here. So now we got it grouped by studs. There's each individual stud. There's 261 of those. And then there's our sills. We have 19 sills, and that's based on these long cut lengths, which may or may not be correct based on how long you can actually buy lumber, but at least it's a starting point that gives you the total amount of material that you're going to need. I need to look into why I can't total these lengths up. If someone knows, they could post it in the comments for this video. That'd be great. I could probably figure it out, but it would take me longer than the length requirements on YouTube and video updates and uploads and stuff. Let me do this though. If you just to finish up, to show you where this goes or where you get it, just go to subscription.autodesk.com, log in with your subscription password and username, and you can get in to the subscription center. Okay, and if you are wondering where it is, just go into product downloads and you'll see your list of things here, and you'll notice Subscription Advantage Pack for Revit Architecture 2010. That's it right there. That has the wood framing extension in it. You can also get it for MEP and Structure. So if you're using one of those two, you can get the same download for those. Okay? Hopefully that's been helpful. Take care, guys.